How's it going, guys? Tony back with another video for you. So just showing these cards off for something to look at while I do a little introduction. I'm going to talk a little bit more about 70s Calbees today. So we'll be talking about these cards and more. So let's get into it. Actually, I want to show you guys mainly more of the pretty mint condition Calbee cards that I've been accumulating. That's kind of my Calbee project in addition to getting the 73 flagbacks. So let's start it off. So this is, I'm going to start showing pretty mint condition Calbees. So this is one that I've recently got, number 298. This is a 73 flagback. I'm just going to go pretty much in chronological order here. This is a card of Kazumi Takahashi, a Giants pitcher. It says down there something like Heated Battles. This is the Heated Battles series. Um, and Kazumi Takahashi. So as you can see, it's very pristine. These 70s Calbees all had white backs with simple print like this. Actually, so you kind of get an idea of what I'm chasing in terms of condition. I'll kind of show you a couple cards that I would say demonstrate more typical wear for these cards. So like here's another Giants card from the Calbee flagbacks. This is card number 188. It's actually a great card, featuring two Hall of Famers, of course, Sadaharu O on the right and Koichi Tabuchi, Tigers Hall of Fame catcher on the left. But as you can see on the back here, this card exhibits what I would say is more typical wear for these 70s Calbees cards. Calbees cards. Calbee cards, especially the early 70s ones. So you often get staining on these, pristine white backs. I think this is a combination, probably just moisture damage. I think this might be a little bit of like, this typical discoloring is kind of almost like a mold or obviously any kind of impurity on your fingers on that white back over the decades. So as you can see, right, like these two, so the card on the right is like a very pristine 70s Calbee, as you can see. Here's another one that has pretty typical wear. This is number 75. It's a great card. This is Katsuya Nomura. And I will need to get the other back of this card, the crossed bats back, because I'm trying to get all the original crossed bats Calbee cards, so I will need to get the other version of this someday. But I do have the flag back exhibiting, pretty typical wear and soil for these. Katsuya Nomura, if you don't know, I like to call him the greatest baseball player you've never heard of. Almost 3,000 hits, over 600 home runs as a catcher. So yeah, great card there. So let's just move on then. So like I said, I got this Takahashi, and then I also have, I'm just going in chronological order basically. So this is a 74. This is a 74 Calbee, and the 74s actually said the year on them, which is helpful. Basically, if I remember right, these Calbees, these 70 Calbees, do not actually say the year until I want to say 79. They start putting the year on them again. But as you can see, another really nice back. This is Isao Shibata, another Giants player. You're just going to see a lot of Giants with these Calbees. It's just how it is. And then we've got, whoops, these are a little bit out of order. So these are, this is a 75. This is a number 3. chronicling the All-Star games. So this is from the first All-Star game. So Japan has generally two All-Star games, Pacific League versus Central League. And on the front of this card is, so right there in the middle, that is Yutaka Inatsu, a very storied and decorated pitcher who would be a Hall of Famer, except basically he was a bit troubled off the field, and he was also involved in the Black Mist scandal, which was a game-fixing scandal in Japanese baseball that you can read about that I'm not going to go into, but it's called the Black Mist scandal. If you're interested if you're interested in it. So Yutaka Inatsu, and of course on the right there is actually Sadaharu O, which makes this a pretty cool card, and this one's in awesome condition too. So here, just as a little bit of a detour, I'm going to show you another Calbee I picked up recently. And this is the 73, so this is toward my getting all the bat backs goal. This is number 51, the iconic number 51 from the set. Probably the second most iconic 70s Calbee card, I would say, after the 73 number 1. And this is probably the second most classic card from the 70s Calbees. Certainly the 73s, but probably overall as well. And this one is, so basically this card is showing the Tigers' promising young battery of Koichi Tabuchi at catcher and Yutaka Inatsu, their ace. Tabuchi is a Hall of Famer. Inatsu, like I said, would have been a Hall of Famer if he had not been somewhat troubled off the field, I'd say. And even the back here basically reads, can they become the strongest battery in history? So there was a lot of promise for these two, and they did perform, of course, but Tabuchi spent his entire career with the Tigers. Inatsu did not. As I said before a couple times, he had a kind of a troubled off the field life a little bit, and it just didn't quite work out. Inatsu, as I said, he had a Hall of Fame type career, almost 3,000 strikeouts, 200 plus wins, but he is not a Hall of Famer for the obvious reasons. So he is, however, quite collectible. His cards definitely command a bit of a premium. I guess it's a little bit like, the Black Sox scandal. Those involved in the Black Sox scandal in the major leagues are somewhat more collectible than maybe they would have been had they not been involved in the scandal. But so there you go. So sorry, let's move on, kind of spend a little bit. Here's a 75, number 33. And this is just a very nice card. This one's not super pristine, but good enough because it's none other than Sadaharu O on the front in full swing. Awesome card. And then let's see this. These I believe are basically 75, 76 Calbee. Starting off with one of these very vibrant pink border cards. So this is actually quite a special card, if I do say so myself. This card basically is so pristine, I think it would have a chance at a 10. So anyway, this is Hideshi Oshita. Hideshi. Can't remember their whole names all the time. Oshita, he was a good player for mainly the Toei Flyers and the Hiroshima Carp. He is not a Hall of Famer, but a good player, and this card is absolutely immaculate. I mean, corners, edges, centering on the front. It is completely pristine on the back. Really just a spectacular specimen of a 70s Calbee card. This is essentially a pack fresh card. Although I didn't pull it from a pack, I don't have an overwhelming interest in grading cards, but I am very interested in grading this one because I think it has a chance at a 10. Moving on. So these are a couple of great cards. So these two, and this is another great illustration of kind of the mintness of these pristine Calbee cards versus those that show maybe more typical wear. This is for the Pacific League on the left and the Central League on the right. This is 1975 award winners. So it breaks down all the major award winners to each of the leagues. As you can see, the Pacific League card I have here is a little more pristine than the Central League card. And especially if you check out the backs like this, you can see that the Pacific League card just really exhibits that awesome mintness. And the Central League card on the right there is a little more typical of the condition you'll find these cards in. But a couple of really cool cards here. And of course, even though the Central League card is in poorer condition, I would say that it probably would be more sought after anyway. You do have Sadaharu O twice on this card. So you have because like I said, this is award winners or record holders for 75, and you have O for RBI and total bases over here. So, couple of very cool cards there. And let's move on. So here we go. I actually, I think I need to, wait, sorry. Anyway, I don't know what I was saying. So here we go. This is the next card, and this is probably a 76, maybe 70, probably a 76. And this is Taira Fujita, another Tiger. Taira Fujita is not a Hall of Famer, but he is a Tigers legend. And this card is very pristine, but it has some faded text on the back, kind of faded registration there. This is a very common problem for these 70s Calbee cards post 73, starting with the 74s, I want to say through the 77s at least. And I don't think this is an age issue. I think this is probably a printing issue. Where some of the backs have very faded. I think it's just a printing issue. So it's extra nice to find a pristine one that also has very dark, crisp text registration on the back. But Taira Fujita, a Tigers legend who is not a Hall of Famer. And this is another All-Star Game card. And let's see here. So another one. Another Tigers card. And of course, you might immediately notice that the player on the back, let me see if it actually says, unfortunately, his name escapes me, an American who played for the Fighters. This is not Randy Bass. This was before Randy Bass. I do forget his name, but it is not listed here. So, yeah. Unfortunately, I don't remember his name, but yeah, another 77, I want to say 76 Calbee. kind of see if I can get the focus to maybe get a little bit. I guess that's as good as it's gonna get. All right. Let's move on then. So here's number. This is number 1030. This is a very massive set. This is Shozo Doi. I've shown him before on my channel, but I'll just quickly repeat the story again. Shozo Doi used to play for the Giants, and he ended up coaching the Oryx Blue Wave when Ichiro was coming up, and is sort of infamous for not allowing Ichiro to come up because he did not like Ichiro's unorthodox approach at the plate and his stance and his swing and things like that. Okay, boomer. So yeah, here you can see this one has a very good. This one's a very good example of like that crisp registration that a lot of the cards lack. So overall, a very pristine card. This is another one in particular that I think might have a chance at a 10 if I graded it. We've got this is Tsuneo Horiuchi, pitcher for the Giants, and I got to admit I kind of threw some shade at this guy in a couple of videos. Well, like he was a good pitcher, but I kind of like questioned his Hall of Fame bona fides. Because if you look at the numbers, yeah, very good, Hall of very good maybe. But I have since kind of sensed that in Japanese baseball, it seems maybe 200 wins is kind of a magic number to get into the Hall of Fame. I realized this because of the recent. Well, he hasn't been officially inducted yet, but his induction was announced of Hiroki Kuroda, whom you might remember pitching for the Dodgers and the Yankees, will be going into the Japanese Hall of Fame, which kind of surprised me a little bit, because if you look at his career, it's like, Hiroki Kuroda, really? But Kuroda did compile 200 wins between Japanese MPB and MLB, and he is going in. So it seems that 200 wins, which Horiuchi does have, seem to be kind of like a one of those magic numbers, the way 300 is, or I should say was, for the major leagues, because of course we are not going to see another 300 winner anytime soon. It should be noted that the Japanese baseball season is about a month worth of games shorter than a major league season, which might help explain why the magic number seems to be 200 instead of 300. So, all right, let's move on here. I'm gonna, okay. This is a great one, number 1299. This is probably a 76, I think. And this is another one of Katsuya Nomura. It's cool to see him just at the plate there. Usually maybe in catcher's gear or what have you. And this one is also very, very nice. So, yeah, great card there of one of my favorite Japanese players. And let's see here. So now we're into these are, I believe, 77's. This is actually a number 1 card. So these sets are usually pretty big, but this one is number 1. I think this is 77. So there's probably some funniness because these cards are an absolute hassle in terms of their numbering and things like that, but I guess this might be considered a 77 Calbee number 1, which is why I got it. You've got the Hankyu Braves on the front there, showing off their Nippon Champions pennant. So pretty awesome number 1 card, 77. and also in pretty good condition to boot. Not immaculate condition, but pretty good. And then finally, I've got another um, immaculate card. This is a 77. I've got another Horiuchi card to finish it off. So I don't know what it is about Horiuchi, but I have several immaculately minty Horiuchi cards. I mean, check this one out. Again, if you just sort of needed some, like, okay, this is a 73 versus a 77, so maybe not a great direct comparison, but you can see, 70's Calbee with an originally white back. You can just see how absolutely mint that card is. It's awesome. So, all right, guys, that's what I've got for you today, as always. Thanks for watching. Peace.